Welcome to BunniPhish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as BunniPhish on Ravelry, Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon. Today is Friday the 27th of September, 2019, and this is episode 50. So how have you been? How was your week? Mine was good. It was good. I don't know, I can't think of a thing that stands out this week. It's just been a lot of work and school. You know what? That's a lie, but I'll talk about it later. So yeah, let's just get into administrative stuff. So the test knitter survey is still out. Speaking of that, the fingerless mitts, I finished the pair. So that is out to test knitters right now. They just got the information yesterday, so those fingerless mitts will be released soon. Apparently I didn't bring them upstairs with me, so I can't show them to you, but I'll show them to you next week. And I'm really, really pleased with how they turned out. I look forward to hearing what the test knitters have to say about that. But if you are interested in test knitting an upcoming pattern, I have a hat pattern and a sock pattern that needs to be test knit. There's a link below to fill out a survey for that. And both of those are fingering weight and use intarsia in the round, which is not as scary as it sounds. The ornament swap signups are still going on. Those close October 15th. So that is for a handmade ornament. And the ornament has to be whatever your partner would like. You have to send it in a card, which is whatever you like. So yes, signups for that are still going on for a couple more weeks, and then I will match you up with partners, and I think it'll just be a fun little thing to start off the holiday. I have 3 Instagram giveaways going on right now. They all expire on Monday, so that's the 30th, I think. Yes, the 30th. The first thing up for grabs is this beautiful macrame keychain. There is a set of gorgeous DK weight mini skeins from This Craft or That. And there is a hand crocheted beautiful cowl. So if you're interested in any of those, head over to Instagram, check those out. Speaking of test knitters, I don't know if I edited out the phone notification sound, but I just got my first correction from a test knitter. That happens sometimes, right? I think the copy paste monster hit me. That's usually where my errors are, is if I think that I copied something and changed it and didn't quite change it enough. So anyway, that's good though. That means that my tester is working on the pattern. So thank you, Allison. You're always awesome. And my other test knitters are also awesome. She just happened to call me out on the podcast. Not on you know what I mean. So, ornament swap, I think I said everything about that. Instagram giveaways, yes, yes. There is also a giveaway for a little alpaca keychain, and that was part of the episode, the, Mid-Mitten Fiber Frolic episode, so go check out that if you're interested in an adorable alpaca keychain. I can slow down. I can talk slower. It's okay. I'm not in a rush. I just feel like I'm in a rush, but I'm really not. I don't have to be to work for a whole hour still. Why do I feel rushed? I don't know. I shouldn't feel rushed. We had a really chill morning. My boyfriend and I, he doesn't work Thursday nights, so he and I usually go for a park walk on Thursdays or Fridays. So we did that this morning, and it was lovely. And we had we went and got breakfast from the grocery store and stuff. It was pretty great. And also while we were at the park having our walk and breakfast, do you see how fancy this is? I did my nails, put on some eyeliner. It's fancy because we took pictures of the mitts. So that once my test knitters finish that test knit, I can have all of that sent out. Oh, hopefully I will get back to the library in the next couple days so that I can format that so that it's all ready as soon as they're finished with it. So other administrative type thing is I released a pattern yesterday. And I've been remiss, I didn't post it on Instagram yet, but probably by the time this is up, it will have been put on Instagram. It's available on Ravelry, and it is for a baby blanket. Do you guys remember when I was working on this? Like a year ago, more than a year ago? Right. Ridiculous. So what was holding me back from publishing was not test knitting or anything outside of myself. I wanted to chart the pattern. So right now it's just written. I wanted to chart it and I was like, you know what? Let me just get the pattern out there. And then once I have the written pattern out there, I will feel more obligated to get the charted pattern out there. So it's available right now on Ravelry, written only. But I put on the pattern page that the charts will be out in October. So I have to do the charts next month. I have to, because it says right there on Ravelry that I will. So those will be coming if you would rather work a charted pattern than a written pattern. But I think I'm really, really pleased with it. So this is one version. The other version I don't have because I actually gifted it yesterday to my son's teacher, the speech teacher who he absolutely loves. I made her a baby blanket a couple years ago. She has a little boy and now she's pregnant with a little girl. So there will be pictures of the pink blanket in here. So one version is a solid version. There are no eyelets. The other version has eyelets in it. And I don't think either is more complicated or tricky than the other. They're just different. The pattern is, I think I have to measure it. I don't actually know the size. I guessed about 3 feet by 3 feet, which I think is correct, but I didn't actually measure it. So it uses I think I used 2 Bernat Pop, which is an Aran weight yarn for the center striping. And then I used most of the skein of a Bernat Super Value for the border. What's going on there? Oh, there's a little fuzzy. It's a piece of grass. I don't know. Could be from anything. I have children and they get near my things and who knows. But anyway, this pattern is available. It's called Bean Sprouts. There's a solid version and an eyelet version. I know I already said that, but I feel like it's good to reiterate sometimes. It's worked from the center out and the border is applied. And this is maybe my favorite part of the border. It's a mitered square detail that you knit as you're going. You don't have to go back and add that mitered square or like the 4 mitered squares at the very end. It's just as you go. So once you finish the final corner, you're finished with the whole blanket. And it's got a little I-cord edge, which I just think makes everything look really, really finished. And I'm really, really pleased with this pattern. So I'm really pleased that one of my test knitters for this pattern was like, hey, are you ever going to publish that? Because, you know, we test knit that forever ago. My test knitters are the best. They really are. So, onto finished objects. I have a stack of finished objects this week. It's not as exciting as it sounds. It's okay, but it's not that exciting. I teach knitting and crochet at a local JoAnn, and there is an open house every 2 months where you can sign up for classes for 50% off. And so for the open house, we make samples. So I've made several samples this week. This is the one I made first and probably my favorite sample that I made. And it is called the Triple Puff Granny Square. It's made using Lion Brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick, as is this. This is the Star Stitch Square. So there are 2 there's 1 square a month for crochet and 1 square a month for knitting. I haven't done the knitting ones yet. I probably won't show them to you because I will likely finish them this weekend, and I have a class to teach on Monday, so I'll just take all of my samples in on Monday. So I probably won't show you the knit ones. Actually, I did finish one. It's called the Argyle square, and then the other one is a cabled knit square. So if I finish that before I finish editing this, I'll put in a picture of that also. This is a cabled hat knit with heat wave yarn. I think it's a Lion brand, but the yarn is called heat wave. So just a little cabled hat, and it's pretty cute. This is the small size. There's also a larger size, and I made a mistake on this sample. Nobody's gonna know except for me and now you. You're supposed to use smaller needles for the brim, but when I looked at the pattern, I used the wrong size needles all the way. Just so you know. Also, when I make my samples, my knitted samples, I use smaller needles than the pattern calls for because I'm a loose knitter for the squares. So there's that. But when I read the pattern, it said 7-inch double points. And in my head, what I saw was size 7 needles. So I use size 7. The brim is supposed to be done on 5s. The hat is supposed to be done on 8s. So it would be a little bit taller, a little bit looser if I had done it on 8s. But I think it's a really good fit, and I do not have a tiny head. I don't have a particularly large head either. I just have like a fairly average, and I think it's a good fit. So yeah, the class is called Knitting with Heat Wave Yarn. And then this is called Crochet with Cotton. It's just a little dishcloth with 2 colors, and it's done with I think it's called tapestry crochet when you're doing 2 colors of crochet and you carry 1 color under the stitches you're making, so you just carry the yarn across. I think that's what it's called. And then the exciting finished objects, the less boring, I guess, finished objects are, things that I actually actively wanted to make. So I finished both pairs of school socks I was working on last week. I had the first sock of the pair done. I had the toe of the second sock done. These are just shorty socks. And they are not matching, but they are coordinating in their non-matching. I did color management so that they would be specifically not matching because I was using a 50-gram ball. So I don't know if I made the conscious decision to start at the pink because that was the next color, or if I thought that I had started the first sock on the pink and then went with it, but I know that when I got to the heel, so on the first one, I did the heel, and I think you can see, so there's a bluish stripe, a greenish stripe, and then a bluish stripe. Well, then after this bluish stripe, it would have gone back to the purple, but I didn't want to finish with a purple on this sock. I don't know why, but I decided that's not what I wanted to do. So I cut that purple section out and finished it with the blue stripe. And when I got to this sock, I was like, okay, I need to cut out the purple stripe. But then I got to a second purple stripe and I was like, wait a second. Is this sock just bigger? What happened? And then I looked back and saw that they weren't matching, which is fine. That doesn't bother me. I'm currently wearing non-matching commercial socks. They're both shorties. They're the same like style and size, but one's blue and one's pink. So obviously I don't care that much. But I did finish those. And I finished the Talk sock, which was just a cast on last week. Here's the second sock. Here is the first sock. These socks, color stripes are not matching also. They are going opposite color order, kind of. Yes, opposite color order. And they're both blocked. They're both finished ready for gifting. The yarn is DK weight, and I have a leftover ball. Oh, it's up on the shelf. I have quite a large chunk of this left. It's probably just gonna go in scrappy blankets, but I don't know, maybe. I mean, it's not big enough to like make a whole new project like fingerless mitts or something, but I don't know. They'll probably go in something scrappy. But last week I was talking about how I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to finish both socks with the skein. And obviously I could, which is nice to know because I bought a purple skein for gift knitting, and then I bought a green skein for me knitting. So I think that I will also make the green skein into Tock socks. Maybe not, but I'm thinking that's what will work out really well for me. So those are the Tock socks finished. And I just realized that I have another JoAnn sample. So this is the other JoAnn sample that I finished this week. It is just a kid's scarf. I did not make this sample to exact length because the area that we display samples is kind of small. This section right here is supposed to be over 60 rows. It's a little over 20, but I think you can get the idea of the scarf from this. And this is made with that loop yarn, which is kind of cool. It's an interesting concept. Of course, I would rather just actually knit, but you know, that worked up fine. And if you have a JoAnn in your area and you have a kid who wants to do a craft, that's a really good one. So that is it for finished objects. So works in progress. I, of course, need knitting for at the school. So I cast on something really, really boring looking, but whatever, it will serve its purpose. I will have to grab more yarn for it because this is all of the gray that I have left. And I don't think that that is enough to get me through the next, what is going on with this stitch marker? Well, it might be enough to get me through the end of this cuff. I only have 7 rounds to go before I finish this cuff, although I'm thinking I might extend it. So I'm making a pair of socks for Patrick's sister, the ones who I made the Leyburn socks at the beginning of the year. And I was really good about writing how many rounds I made certain things, but I don't know if I wrote down how many rounds are on the cuff. I'm gonna double check. I guessed 20. I might go for more, but I have, so this is Premier Serenity sock in the charcoal color, and apparently, according to Kalisha of Quirky Monday, they no longer carry this yarn at JoAnn, which is kind of a bummer because it's a really good, inexpensive yarn for heels, toes, and cuffs. I still have a stockpile. I probably have like 6 or 7 skeins. But once that's all gone, it's gone, and that's kind of unfortunate. So this is just going to be the heel toe cuff color, and what I'm going to use for the main color is a skein of Knit Picks Chroma, Chroma something, not the regular Chroma. It's fingering weight, and it looks kind of like a circus. These are going to grow up to be a pair of Fruit Loop socks. It's a free pattern on Knitty. It's been in my queue forever, and I'm pretty sure that it's simple enough that I can do it while walking around at work. It's a 4-round repeat. And yeah, I think it'll be good for work. So right now I'm just on the cuff. It's not very exciting, but next week it should look so much more interesting. I think that I've been really missing doing the to finish off this month photos on Instagram. I used to do them all the time. I would take a photo a week approximately, a photo at the very beginning of the month, and then a photo at the end of the month, and then weekly-ish progress of what was off of the blanket, because I had a little baby blanket as the background. And so when things got moved off the blanket, it would start out really full at the beginning of the month, and then it would become gradually less full over the month. So I think I'm going to do that in October. And I also think I'm going to do Vlogtober, because I really, really like daily vlogging, but not all the time. I like it when it's like a challenge month. So I think I'm going to try that. And that sock is definitely going to be on the blanket for the month of October. So we'll see how that goes. And I also started another pair of socks. So I don't know if you'll recognize these, all caked up now. These are the Dyed in Detroit yarn that I showed in the Yarn Festival video. So they are just some mini skeins that, I don't know why this blue one is falling apart. What is going on? Get your whole life, put it in a backpack, carry it around. This blue yarn and I are going to have a discussion later. I mean, more than the one we just had. So I'm just doing a pair of shorties for myself, again, because that's what I'm feeling like doing right now. So I have the cuff. The last pair was toe up. This one's going to be cuff down. I have the cuff. I am, I don't know, a third of the way through the heel. I have never made the Hermione's everyday socks, but I've heard lots of podcasters talk about the heel construction. So I decided to just do that heel construction. So it has garter ridges on the edge, and then an eye of partridge pattern across the heel, which you can sort of tell. It's just a variation on the slip stitch heel, which is my preferred heel for me for fit, specifically for shorty socks. When they're longer socks, it doesn't matter as much, but shorty socks, I definitely find a heel flapping gusset works the best for me. So these socks, I did bring this skein of yarn that is going to go with these, and it looks like this. Remember how I was talking about doing unicorn socks this coming month? Well, I decided that this would be really cute unicorn socks, but I also wanted a pair of socks for me. So that's why I'm making myself some shorties, so that after I finish the shorties, I can just use the rest of this speckly goodness to make unicorn socks. And this is Knit Picks Hawthorne Fingering. Da-da-da-da. In the Berry Smoothie Speckle colorway. I bought this when I bought the yarn for the unicorns. And I was like, oh, it's pretty, I don't need it, but I really just kind of want that speckliness in my life. So now it will be. And I've also worked on the seat covers a little bit, but I didn't put a progress keeper in, and they're just single crochet squares where you go around and around and around, so not that interesting to look at. I have also worked a little bit, I've done a little spinning on my sweater spin, so that's what that is looking like. It is lovely. And I've started a new project. So that thing that I was going to tell you about that I didn't tell you about yet is that one of the secretaries at my kid's school, she is resigning at the end of October. So I like her very, very much. I like both of the secretaries very, very much, but she's resigning, and that's sad. So I'm making her a blanket because of course I am. I mean, I make baby blankets for all of the people who are having babies or booties or whatever. I make them things. So I'm making her a blanket. And I will insert a picture of the label of what this yarn is because it's downstairs next to my bed instead of up here where I'm podcasting. So I decided that I wanted to make an owl blanket, like an owl granny square blanket. But I looked on Ravelry and I didn't really like any of the owls that were put on Ravelry, like any of the blankets. I liked some of the ideas, but The ones that I really liked were too complicated. Like I want it to be easy because I only have a month to do it. And I'm not making a giant blanket, probably just a throw. But I want it to be easy enough that I don't have to devote all of my crafting time to making a throw blanket. Because sometimes you have to devote all of your time to making a blanket if that's what you're doing. So this yarn is chunky, and I got it from my local yarn store. It's chunky, it's a big skein. It's like as big as my head. It was bigger than my head when I picked it up. So this is a little owl in progress. But I have 4 owl motifs. So this is kind of what they're going to look like. They'll be bordered to make them square, and then there will probably be like checkerboard with just plain squares. I don't know the specifics. I just know that this is kind of what I want to do. So I'm going to use this entire skein to make owl motifs, and then I will pick up another skein of this. There is a sparkly black and gray skein, so I'm thinking I'll use that for, I'm torn. Should I use that for bordering the owls, or should I use that for the squares in between? And then there's a skein that's non-sparkly, and it's a gray kind of gradient skein. I think that would be better for the squares, and use the black and gray for the edging of these. I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't know. I don't know how many squares I need to make. I don't know how big it's going to end up, because if it's bigger than a throw, that's also fine. But yeah, I'm just kind of making up this owl pattern, and then for each one, I'm going to crochet little white eyes. Yeah? Circles. There's going to be 2 white circles per owl. So I'm already up to needing to make 8. This will make 10 that I'm going to have to make. And then I'm not sure, but I'm highly considering that instead of stitching down each of those circles, the white circles, like stitching around the outside, I'm thinking that I might just get a pack of purple buttons in an appropriate size, like just plastic, inexpensive buttons, and because her favorite color is purple, and sew the button on the white circle and just sew it down like you would sew down a button. And then the white circle won't be like as anchored, but it'll still be attached. What do you guys think about that? Should I anchor the white, or do you think the button will work, or should I just do something totally different for the eyes altogether? And then I'm also trying to decide if I want to do kind of like a little satin stitch beak on each owl, or if I want to crochet little triangles. I'm thinking satin stitch because that will be quicker than crocheting and sewing down. I don't know. It's very much up in the air. I'm just really enjoying making these owls. I might try to publish this pattern if I find that it is not too difficult to put into. It's not difficult. That's not what I'm trying to say. What am I trying to say? If I can write it in a way that I feel like makes sense and is not overly wordy, I think that's a better way to say it. So if you're interested in test crocheting, keep me in mind. Put a comment below. I don't have a survey out for that. But yeah, let me know if you'd be interested in seeing this owl pattern turn into a design at some point. It's just a little bit different than anything else that's on Ravelry. So pretty excited about that blanket. That's the thing that I'm most interested in picking up. So today is Friday. I picked up the yarn on Wednesday, and I already have 5 or 4.5 motifs, because I've done 2 a day, because it's a really nice way to start my morning. It's a really nice way to end my evening. They're quick, they're not too complicated, they're really cute. And also I just really, really love the secretary who's leaving. So this project, I'm sure will have a lot of progress next week. Okay, I think that's everything. Oh, nope, lies. Lies! One last thing. So I'm still reading The Children of Blood and Bone. I am super close to finishing though. I think I have between 50 and 75 pages left. So I'm at this point though where I simultaneously really, really, really want to read so that I can find out how it ends, and also don't want to read because then it'll be over. Does anyone else have this problem when they're reading? There are other books that I can read out there, and I'm excited to finish it so I can take the test to see which clan I would fall into if I were in the universe of this book. But then it'll be over. And you can only read a book for the first time once, you know? So, yeah. I'm probably going to finish it tonight, though, if I'm being honest. It's probably going to sit down and be like, okay, I'm done. I'm reading it. Because we do family reading night every night. So, and my son has been reading out loud. So I've read less this week than I normally do because he wants to read the book out loud to me, which he normally doesn't want to read out loud. So I've been trying to encourage this behavior. But then I'm probably just gonna read it before I go to bed. Or read it in my in-between times during the day. I don't know. No, I'm just talking about it. The other thing is I live not that far from an air base, so I don't know if you can hear that helicopter, but that's just a normal part of my life. Helicopters and trains, and I live on the corner of a block, so always cars. So we have been listening to Minds Make Societies in my car because when my kids went to their dad's this past weekend, which is probably why I don't have a lot to say. And also I did that festival and I've already told you guys all about that. Okay, that's why this week I'm like, I don't have anything to talk about personally. Anyway, I listen to audiobooks when I'm driving, generally speaking. And this one is not only something that I'm enjoying, but my son was also like, oh, this is a really cool book. And he and I discuss what the author is talking about. It's called Minds Make Societies by Pascal Boyer. I usually listen to nonfiction when I'm driving. So it's really interesting about why humans have societies in the way that they have societies because of how our cognition has evolved over time. It's a pretty good listen. I think I'm on disc 4, so we're not super far into it, but far enough that I can say that I've enjoyed what I've listened to so far. All right, that's what I have for you this week. So go check out those giveaways if you're interested. Leave me a comment below if you have any questions. Let me know what you think about the blanket I released, about this blanket that I'm starting to crochet, about anything that I've talked about. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next week, hopefully starting on October 1st. Well, really on October 2nd because editing takes time, but I will be talking to you on October 1st. You just won't see it until the 2nd for Vlogtober. And definitely go sign up for the ornament swap if you haven't already. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm super excited. Every time someone new signs up for it, I'm like, yes, more people. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Sorry. Oh, I think there was one more thing. I don't remember. It's fine. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.